Live from MMA Fighting Studios, this is Between the Links. And now, your host, Mike Heck.
The iconic voice of Esterlin welcomes you to a brand new edition of BTL. Happy Thursday to us all. Happy February to us all. And we're back for our monthly fan Q&A edition of the program. And the timing couldn't be more perfect for this, my friends, because it's kind of a weird week in the MMA space. Not a ton of news that we could really talk about. So some things have happened. Some things are kind of floating around social media, perhaps that are making me a bit sad, maybe a little angry. But I'm not all the way there yet, but maybe we'll get there on this episode. And speaking of angry, joining me in this venture this week to answer your questions, Mr. Hot Take, Mr. No Gray Area, the Cannonball Kid, the man who has done scientific research and is here to tell us, and I think I'm getting this right, Jed, goats and chickens can live in perfect harmony. Is that what it was? Is that what you came up with?
I mean, they can, but they're just not the same animal. Like I've talked to doctors of animal husbandry. I've researched, I've done the research. Do your own research, guys. I mean, you guys can all go out there and do your own, but I've done it for you, and chickens cannot be goats. This is just how that works. I don't know what to tell you.
I love this gimmick so much. And let us also say hello to producer extraordinaire. I'm sure he'll be chiming in from time to time on some of this stuff, Mr. E. Casey Leiden. And guess what, everybody? It's Mr. 3024's birthday. Happy birthday, E. Casey Leiden. 29, I assume?
Yes, 29, yes. 29 is a big one. I think you can rent a car or rent a Tesla now or something. I don't know what happens at 29, but yes, 29. So it's exciting.
Woo. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
To Casey and, of course, AK, because every day is his birthday. So before we get into the bit of potential breaking news that has caused me and others to lose their minds a little bit, bit of an announcement, because a lot of times we do these shows, we do the live streams, we do the Q&As, we get the peeps involved. And over the last couple of years, some of you have made suggestions. These suggestions have increased over time. We also get complaints. Why do the same people get their questions on the screen? Why is it always the same people get their questions asked and answered? Well, we've seen it and heard it all. So we've taken those suggestions. We've listened to those complaints. And now for the first time, MMA Fighting, we have super chats. That's right. It's obviously an optional thing. You could still watch the show and participate for free. But people have asked us to do this. And the beauty of this is, if you participate in the super chats, you get to the top of the damn list. So if you're sick of seeing the same people asking questions, participate in the super chat and you get to hop, skip, and jump right over them. We'll answer those before anybody else. And Jed, you had an idea in a meeting, and I think maybe we introduce this here. Maybe we add a roast Jed Meshew segment to the end of this program for all the super chatters out there, because I'm sure there are people out there watching this here program that will drop a couple of bucks to give you a piece of their mind.
Why? I mean, that's just ridiculous. I think everyone loves me. I feel like we've established this, Mike. I'm the only honest man in MMA media, and clearly the smartest. Like I'm the only one doing this kind of research in MMA media. All these bozos out here, they know it. They're fans. No one want to say mean things to me, Mike.
Well, if you would like to, you have the option, and Jed will be happy to take those and maybe prove your theories wrong. Maybe make you feel a little bit better about how we're feeling about life and about this great sport. So we might as well just talk about the elephant in the room here, gentlemen. Jed, Dustin Poirier took to Twitter not long ago. It's a picture of him training as one would do, getting ready for a fight, a big fight. Posted this at 12:02 p.m., which was 34 minutes ago right now. He's got a smile on his face, and the tweet says simply this: "My fight's off, but still working." And with this little tweet, everyone is losing their minds right now. Now, I will tell you this. We here at MMAfighting.com, we do not take this as gospel, even though it is an honest man, Dustin Poirier, not a liar, we still have to do our due diligence. We've talked to numerous people with knowledge of this. No one knows anything about this. So this tweet has come out of nowhere, essentially. But let's just say, Jed, we take Dustin Poirier at his word. And this fight with Benoit Saint-Denis, which is scheduled for 5 rounds, co-main event of UFC 299, is off. What would your reaction be? How tough is this news? I have my hat here that I'm going to chuck across the room if we can confirm this news. That's how upset I'll be. How upset will you be? How devastating is this to everything going on at lightweight right now in the year of doing the thing for the UFC?
It'll kind of suck, right? I mean, like, aside from the fact that, I mean, not even kind of. This is so weird because of all of the things that have happened or happening behind the scenes right now, right? Of no one knowing anything about this except for Poirier's tweet. And it wouldn't be like him to just sort of lie. You know, this isn't like a Conor thing where he's just having a laugh over it. So very odd. It would suck because this fight is, you know, we've got a lot of great fights on the schedule. This is top 5 of them. Like Poirier BSD, that's one of the front runners for fight of the year right there. And it also sucks because like 300 is sort of, we've got Arman Sarukian versus Charles Oliveira happening. We've got Justin Gaethje fighting, and there's sort of no one for Islam to fight at the moment, and except for maybe a quicker turnaround coming off of that. And we talked before, Mike, like, well, maybe just the winner of this sort of gets to slot in. Poirier or BSD goes out there, gets a really impressive finish. They might just fit the timeline better for Islam's next fight. If this fight is off, I don't know who could step in to replace Poirier because the wording makes it seem like it would be off for Benoit Saint-Denis. So it really just turns lightweight sort of upside down unless what is happening is this fight is off because Dana has brokered a deal with Nate Diaz and we're doing Dustin Poirier, Nate Diaz for the main event of UFC 300, which I don't think is at all likely, but like I'm just trying to scramble for why this would be happening when it appears that from everything, at least kind of quick reaction, no one knows that anything's going on here.
This is the weirdest thing. It's because if Dustin tweets something like that, you're like, oh shit, let's go and try to figure this out and get confirmation. But literally everybody's like, news to me. First I've heard of this. It's everybody, like literally everybody we have asked about this. That is the reaction. So how weird is this, Casey? It's a very strange thing. And what did you think as soon as you saw that tweet?
Yeah, it's just weird and kind of, I don't know if out of character is the right word, but I just don't recall something like this, like Dustin putting out when the Nate and Dustin fight fell off. What was the story? How did that come out publicly? Was it Nate that did all the I'm out or how did that?
Dustin got hurt, did he not?
Oh, was that? I might be confusing. I'm excited. Wasn't like a weird press conference, a weird face off?
Well, so no, because it happened twice, right? Wasn't Poirier and Nate were like officially set, and then one time was kind of rumored, but. One time, I feel like Poirier got injured.
It was a hip injury.
Oh.
It was a hip injury.
And then one time it was just like Nate was like, "I never agreed to this at all." I don't know why you guys are talking about this.
Okay,
they did a rooftop face-off in New York City, like a couple months before that. That was like the official announcement of the card and of the fight, and they did the face-off and everything. But then, Poirier got hurt and had a withdraw. Nate's been calling it a win ever since.
But I think mostly what Jed said, this just kind of goes with the storyline of just everything's just weird with the UFC in terms of how we get news or get updates from the UFC. Either it's Dana White on a Friday night at 2 a.m. telling us fights, or Dustin Poirier with random tweets for a co-main event and happening in a month and a half. So I don't know what to say. It's weird. It's weird promotion if it's not true. It's very weird promotion.
Well, we are working on trying to confirm this news. So if we do, we will let you know, and the hat will fly.
Also, so I pulled up 299 to look at it. One, fight card still bangs, so we good there. It's like it's obviously lessened if this is off. Still bangs. I don't have any issue just kind of throwing RDA out the boat here and just popping Mateusz Gamrot in there against Poirier. be fine with making that swap, and RDA can do whatever,
Little teammate versus teammate action. Little ATT
like
versus ATT.
that'd be fun. I mean, that'd be fun. If not, you could, I guess, just throw Gamrot out the boat and do RDA versus Poirier. Either one is actually fine. Like, we should just keep Dustin Poirier on 299 unless they have some grander plans for him.
Save Gamrot for like it again. We don't know anything. This is just a tweet. Like if Santini is hurt or whatever and has to be, hey Matoush, you're not fighting at 299 on this mega stack card. We're gonna save you for when Santini is better and you can go fight that animal.
And honestly, like prior to them announcing the Poirier Benoit Santini, like that would have made more sense to me as a realistic outcome of like, yeah, RDA is a legend. Poirier, that feels more like a fight he would take than a BSD. And like BSD wants to climb the ranks. Gamrot's sort of in the way of things because the UFC doesn't seem to want to throw him into a title fight, really. So like we just end with that, which is a fine outcome. Like I'd watch the hell out of Dustin Poirier RDA.
I hope this fight remains, but we'll keep you posted. Stay with us here and or with MMA Fighting after the show if we cannot confirm this information. All right, let's go to the peeps.
All right,
see what they want to talk about.
Oh, holy moly. Hold on.
Oh,
Our first one.
No.
Our first one. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm pumped about what the hell this is gonna be.
Hey, we got our first Jed. Jed looks like a homeless guy.
I'm not sure you've ever seen a homeless person, but okay.
It's Jed's like first day of being homeless. Like after like year 2, you're gonna look like a homeless guy. But first day homeless, that's Jed right now. So
Okay.
$5 well spent. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
It's all out of love, though, Jed. This seems that seems like a loving tweet.
I mean, I feel like there are just a lot better ways to come at me than whatever that is. So do better is all I'm saying. Like,
wow.
There are plenty of ways to attack me. I'm not out here pretending I'm perfect, but it just feels like that's weak.
All right. What else we got? Keep them coming.
Oops,
Not just that, but the questions about MMA as well. Kevin Lee fits into the new 165-pound division. I don't know where this 165-pound division stuff is coming from. I get this a lot. I saw a social media account, I think tweeted out like a week ago that the big announcement regarding UFC 300 was going to be the introduction of the 165-pound weight class and 175-pound weight class, and that like 170 would be no more. And maybe that's why Kevin Lee came out yesterday and unretired. I don't think any of this is going to be true, but Kevin Lee did unretire, I guess. Jed, you seem thrilled. You seem stunned by this revelation that Kevin Lee is no longer retired after spending a extreme amount of time on the sidelines, all 6 months of it. Your reaction to this and maybe the UFC introducing these new divisions that Dana has been staunchly against from moment one.
Yeah, they're for sure not doing that.
Before we answer that,
I see the pain in your eyes, Jed. Another $2, Dan. All right.
Again, where would the pain even be from, Dan? Like, homeless isn't an insult. That's just a statement of fact. Like, if I don't have a home, I have one. I'm in it right now. Come at me for some other shit, bro.
I don't know.
Call me ugly. That's fine.
I only see one wall. I don't see it. We don't get a full 360 view. You could be in a cardboard box right now. We don't know. With great Wi-Fi.
Fair point.
I'm just saying. I'm with you, Dan.
Dan, it's also possible you're seeing the pain in my eyes from hearing this dumb bullshit about a 165-pound weight class. It's just not happening. Like, we don't have to. I truly don't understand the pull to this for some people. Like, who cares? It is. If it happened, that'd be fine. Like, I wouldn't care. It's just not going to, because 170 is such a marquee division for the sport historically. They're just not going to walk away from that. Like, arguably 170 at this point is the most important division in the history of certainly the UFC, just because they've had a pretty clear run of really good fighters hold that belt time over time. Like 205 had bigger names, but also 205 had Yuri Prochazka. Jan Blachowicz was a champion at 205. Like no one's that pumped about that historically. They're just not going to get rid of 170, at least not while Dana's around. And then maybe at some point they would go back and conform to whatever. Because I think either did the ABC adopt the like new weight classes? I know one of the commissions at least did, to be like, yeah, we should do weight classes for things. Why do you care? Kevin Lee's issue is not that there's not a 165-pound weight class. It's that he's not good at fighting. And that's just the problem, man. Like 5 pounds is not insignificant. It is not the end all be all of your career. I know this because look at the myriad fighters who succeeded despite, not competing in their optimal weight classes. Frank Edgar won the fucking lightweight belt and he's 135er his whole career. Like it's 5 pounds. Either find a way to cut that naturally or add 5 of bulk. We just don't need to do this. It has always been a massive pet peeve of mine. Yeah, like it's not optimal. Sure. And there are probably fighters out there that it would be more optimal for it to be a 152 weight class. And we're not bending over backwards and crying over the spilt milk of their careers because it's just unnecessary. Like, you live with it. Sometimes life didn't hand you the perfect set of cards. Find a way to make 170 or whatever. We're not going to do 165. We don't need to do it. They don't need to add more weight classes, realistically. They probably just need to get rid of heavyweight and like a couple other weight classes. So, no, this isn't happening. Kevin Lee's unretiring because he's still a young man who can make money in this sport. And I don't know, like I'm sure he could make money elsewhere, but like he's going to make a lot more money in MMA than probably a lot of other careers. And also, Casey, you've been around fighters. Do they ever retire? Do they ever think that they're done and want to leave? No, they just want to do it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we need another word that's not retirement, but that just means I just want to take like a year and a half off.
Sabbatical. Just a
sabbatical.
Taking a sabbatical.
Yeah. But I feel like fighters aren't allowed to say that. They can only say retirement. I mean, maybe, do fighters say that? I mean, am I forgetting a well-known fighter saying, hey, I'm just going to take like a year off?
I mean, GSP said he was going to take a little break. And then was gone for 4 years. But no one says I'm just going to take, or they just say I'm going to take time off, and then that's sort of indeterminate amount of time, right? So then people are like, does that mean 6 months?
Yeah, because the whole thing, I think I go back to Amanda Nunes. Bring up Amanda Nunes. What she said makes a lot of sense. Fighting at such a high level, fighting as a full-time pro fighter for the last 15 years or so, dude, I get it. You just got to take a break, just for your sanity. You might be performing great that week. You look great that week, but we don't see the mental just distress they're under just every day, So they need it.
There's no off season.
Yeah, no off season.
Especially for champions,
like high level fighters, they're fighting 5-round fights at least. They're going against the best in the world constantly, not just a fight, but the best. That's like a Super Bowl every 3 months, I guess. It's insane. So, I'm not going to trash fighters for the whole, I thought you retired, why are you coming back? But we do need I feel like we need better language for these fighters. But they need better language when they talk about this stuff.
It's been such a weird run for the guy. I mean, from the Charles Oliveira loss, which was like the first event the UFC did with like out a crowd because COVID happened. Then he's out for a year and a half, fights Daniel Rodriguez, loses. Then he's out for like another year and a half. He's out of the UFC. He goes to Eagle FC and he fights Diego Sanchez, wins a lackluster decision, gets hurt, and then he's out another almost year and a half, comes back to the UFC and just gets colded by Hanat Fakhratinov and then retired after that. So it's just weird. Now, so I guess I'll pose this question to both of you guys, whoever wants to answer. I don't know what his contract situation looks like. I don't know if he has fights left on his UFC deal. I'm not sure. If you're the UFC, Jed, how do you handle this? If Kevin Lee comes back, do you take him on? If he wants to leave, do you even fight him on this? And if he's a full-on free agent, what's the best spot for Kevin Lee right now? And is it the UFC?
If he wants to leave, I don't fight him on it. It's not. But if he doesn't come to me and say, hey, I want to go test my market, but like, all right, I'd give him a fight and I would just have him get clobbered by some dude at welterweight, because people still seem to like him. Like he generates headlines. People know, like, that's why we're talking about this, despite the fact that he has like 2 wins in his last 8 fights or something insane like that. And to my previous point, one of them is Diego Sanchez at 165. And I got to tell you, I don't think him not having to cut the additional 10 pounds helped him in that fight. He looked like trash against a washed ass Diego Sanchez. So if he wants to keep fighting for the UFC, I would employ him as a star platform booster, like as the trampoline to bigger things for somebody at the weight class who's maybe outside of the rankings right now, someone who they have a bit of a shine to, and say, all right, come in and kill Kevin Lee real fast, and that'll be great for you. And then when Kevin Lee stops being able to do that, then he can go on his way and do what else. But at the same time, if he comes and says, hey, I want to go try my hand elsewhere, do something else, but okay, totally fine. Like, I'm not going to fight him over leaving the organization, but if he stays, I am not giving him a helping hand at all.
I completely understand that from like a UFC business perspective, but let's just say, Casey, Kevin Lee can go wherever he wants. What do you think's the best spot for him right now? Is it the UFC? Is it maybe try to sneak into PFL, which, by the way, not a ton of roster spots. What do we have?
I want to bring up what you just said with this comment, with this question.
Do you think PFL should open up a 165-pound weight class and move 170 to 175 as a way to be different from the UFC? Okay, maybe PFL.
That'd be totally fine.
Yeah. Okay.
I really like this suggestion, because I'm not 100% with Jed about the weight class thing, but I also am over the whole Kevin Lee could have been a champion if there was 165. I don't believe that either. But I do believe especially at the highest level, 10 pounds from 155 to 170, but 15 pounds is just too much. And I think the sport's big, and I feel the sport's big enough, especially in that weight class, to change it up a bit like this. So I would like to say that. So I think this is awesome. I wish PFL did that.
I think this would be a really smart move for PFL, and I'd be totally fine with it. Again, I'm not opposed to doing it. I just don't care. I do not think it is a travesty of justice that there is not a 165-pound weight class. I think it's just fine. Like, it's totally reasonable or whatever, because I really don't want us to be boxing. I really don't want MMA to have weight classes every 5 to 7 pounds. Like, that's just entirely unnecessary in my mind. But as a way to differentiate yourself from the UFC, it's a terrific idea. And particularly with them, it's not like they have, one, their lightweight champion has retired, so fine in that regard. Who was their welterweight champ? It's Magomedov right now. Yeah, that's fine. Bump him 5 pounds, he'll live. I think this would be a totally reasonable way to maneuver this if you want to be the PFL.
And
hey, by the way, Kevin Lee fought at 165 before.
He did. It was
Eagle
Diego
FC
Sanchez. It was trash.
Yeah.
Oh, what he did?
People forget that was an official 165-pound
Diego
fight.
Sanchez was the 165-pound fight. He was awful.
We're introducing this division. We're different, baby. I don't remember a big Eagle FC card since then.
I think that was their last American show.
The last American
that was
show.
the last one?
I think it was. Not 100 on that, but I think it was.
Was that the card with JDS and De Castro? Was that the same card?
Yes,
Or is
I
that different?
believe that's correct.
No.
Those
Is
are
it
separate
not?
cards?
Yeah,
Those are both Eagle FC, right?
Yeah, they're both Eagle FC, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Look
main
at the
event was
PFL roster.
Rizvan. The co-main was Rizvan Cunha versus Anthony Hamilton. Ray Borg, Ricky Bandejas. Impa Kasaganai lost on that card. Ikram Eliscara fought on that card.
Ipa lost on that card? Wow.
Impa lost to Raymond Magomed Aliev in a welterweight fight.
What a strange career that gentleman has had. Amazing.
It's
And now he's fighting
unbelievable.
Johnny Eblin next or in a couple
He's
weeks.
the 205-pound champion. Now he's fighting Johnny Eblin, the Bellator middleweight champion in Saudi Arabia. Golly.
Yeah. All right.
Man,
Dude.
they don't. PFL/Bellator doesn't even have like a ton of dudes to build that weight class, which is the other sort of. I mean, they could build it, but
Yeah, they
not.
I,
I'm looking at their
money to
roster,
spend
like their
either.
rough rosters right now, and it's just like both have pretty weak welterweight divisions. So, like, because that's what you would assume is that 165 would just mostly be welterweights. Like, there'd be some dudes who would not be able to cut, but like Brennan Ward's probably dropping an extra 5 to get to 165.
Yeah, we'll see.
It would take them some time to grow it, but I do think that, like, holistically, terrific idea.
All right.
I think Kevin Lee should go to Game
That's
Bread.
That's a terrific name.
Special.
I want to be
Okay.
I want to be clear. I pitched last year a program.
Can you read it for the podcast listeners?
I don't have the pitch around me, but I pitched a program called Judge Jed, where it's pretty obvious exactly what's happening. But special judgecation is a terrific idea. Also, Jed Talks has been I feel like that one is a good solo.
Do we get Nick's? Did that get 86 by legal? Jed Talk.
We like loosely brought it up to them, and it was like, I'm not sure about that. I feel like we could be okay with it, but I think we ultimately decided not to go down that road.
Maybe just ask for forgiveness afterward. I don't know.
Come on, do you think TED Talk's really going to come at us? I think that seems unlikely.
All right. A lot of Jed.
Jed, let's discuss our combined 2 law degrees and 0 lawyer sensibilities.
I have terrific lawyer sensibilities. I don't know what you're talking about. I can't speak for you, Max, but I decided not to be an attorney. I think that's like the sign of having great lawyer sensibilities. Because every lawyer I know hates themselves and their job. Not everyone, but like 90% of them just absolutely hate the profession.
Yeah, when people say they're lawyers, they never like go, "I'm a lawyer," like with a big smile. It was just like, yeah, lawyer.
No, because there are Casey, there's a reason for this. Because either you can be a lawyer and make a lot of money and sell at least a piece of your soul in however you're doing it, or you can make no money but like feel good about what you're doing. That's not a great combination for a career, It's like, I'm a public defender and I work 80 hours a week, but man, I saved this dude's life and I got 3 sandwiches as my payment for this, and I still have massive amounts of debt. Or I do M&A for a Fortune 50 company and I just crush some mom and pop with legalese, but goddamn if I don't have like a sick ass beach house. Like, those are your choices.
Hey, Jed, did you watch Better Call Saul, the TV show?
I haven't finished it, but I've seen a fair amount.
Oh, okay. I was just kind of interested because it reminded me of the 2 lawyer spectrums what you just kind of mentioned.
I mean, it's pretty much it. Like,
that's it made me think of that. Yeah.
Tremendous show.
Oh, here we
Remember,
go.
get the super chats in. You get to hop to the front of the line. From Zeno Gray. Thank you, Zeno Gray. If Yan loses to Song Yadong, that's 4 in a row. Would that be cause for the cut list, Jed Meshew? And not the Oldsmobile, like the actual UFC cut list where you're no longer employed by the biggest promotion in the world. Do you think the UFC would go that far if he loses to Song Yadong at UFC 299?
Deeply unlikely that he's cut list, but he's on watch, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think if he loses to Jan's 4 in a row and then that's 5 of 6, right? Because the Aljo DQ with Sandhagen as the lone win. The Sandhagen as the lone win is a terrific win. So that's doing great work. But anytime you lose 4 in a row, it doesn't matter who you're losing to or the circumstances in which that occurs. It's really, really tough to sort of ever bounce back from that. I've made kind of a point of mentioning this the past few years. Like, Andrei Arlovsky is, to my knowledge, and I've looked into this pretty hard, the only like legitimate fighter who had multiple losing streaks of 4 or more and was able to rebound and like have a decently successful career. It is just so unlikely because when you lose 4 in a row, even if they're to high end competition, it's still like, okay, now you're Marlon Moraes. Like all the dudes that got him were good. And then at some point it just doesn't matter because so much of this sport is tied into confidence as well. And it's hard to be confident when you've lost 4 straight, So he won't get cut, but he'll probably get a bigger step back. And the question then becomes, is Petr Yan just like a dude who's now the springboard into the top 15 for some young talent? Or can he get the wheels back on track? Because he could definitely lose to Song. Song is a damn good fighter, and he's going to be in a real weird spot because 2 years ago, heck, a year and a half ago, I think most people still thought he was the best, bantamweight in the world. Many people on our ranking panel had him as the number one dude, heading into 2022. So it's just tough. It's game of inches, baby.
I'm going to say a big no if Yan loses a Song, and mostly because you got to look at the actual fights themselves and the strength of competition. Aljamain, Sean O'Malley, Merab. I mean, all guys top 3 basically. So if Yan loses a Song, we just have a better, more accurate view of kind of where Yan is in his career. Because we look back at I hate saying this, the Aljamain fight, I had Yan winning the split decision. I actually had Yan winning the fight against O'Malley. I understand why people went Sean O'Malley.
I had Yan beating O'Malley, but I don't. Yeah, it's not a robbery. But I'm with you.
Yeah, it's not a robbery. I'm just saying he was losing incredible competitive fights. Now losing to Merab, that was just a star-making performance by Merab. That's all I see that has. I don't really see that against Yan. The Song, though, if he loses the Song clearly is a future title contender. We just maybe find out Yan is just that kind of the highest level gatekeeper, I guess, at bantamweight.
Okay, but Casey, let me paint you a picture here. He loses the Song. He's on a 4. He's lost 4 in a row. He has minimal leverage at all. And I think 30 years old.
Oh, leverage sucks. Yeah.
Fight, yeah. His leverage is gone. 30 years old, 4-fight losing streak. Does that not feel like a setup for them to just be like, hey, homie, you got to fight Umar? And then that's 5 in a row because Umar going to hand him his ass. And then where are you? He needs to win this fight really, really badly is my point. I don't think he'll lose his job, but he desperately needs to beat Song Yadong.
When this fight was made, if you're Jan's people, do you make this fight? Or do you ask for someone outside of the top 10?
I don't.
I just...
You don't make it? Why?
Huh?
I think
because of what Jed said. If he loses, and this is a fight you can lose. I mean, I understand.
Yeah, but he could do that with anybody, though. He could lose to Jonathan Martinez, and that's on paper, that's a way worse loss.
Yeah, so in my head, when I say that, I am, and I've said this a lot, I'm of the opinion that tune-up fights rule and are useful, and I would have asked for a little bit of help here and been like, hey, don't give me a top 15 dude. Just give me some guy I can mow down, and that'll be sick. Build the confidence back up, do it. Or Figgy. I feel like I could.
That was a good.
Figgy.
That was actually the fight to make, but now we're getting Garbrandt.
Well, I mean, no, that's the fight to make, Mike. Don't get it twisted. But if I'm Yan, Figgy or Garbrandt feel like. Yeah. Again, he can beat Song Yadong.
Of course.
I would be trying to get the softest ball I could if I'm Jan's people, and I don't think Song Yadong is a softball by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
And again, I think, and the problem, and this is real meta stupid sort of, because Song's highly ranked in the UFC's rankings, even if Yan loses this and is on a 4-fight losing streak, he's still going to be a top 10 ranked in their rankings, which really sets him up to be the next guy for Umar. And buddy, no one should fight Umar. Just avoid at all costs, because then that's 5 in a row, and I don't even know what happens at that point for him. So it's a tough ask. This was a tough fight for him. Godspeed, Petr Yan.
Who do you think Umar's fighting?
I don't know, because I just don't know who makes sense because like I would have thought Corey, but then Corey went on the MMA and was like, no. So I truly have no idea. Marab might be crazy enough to take that
Rob's
fight.
fighting Cejudo.
Oh, I forgot that that's happening. Oh yeah. Then I don't have
where's Umar ranked at? I'm sorry.
In the UFCs, he's 13.
13. See, that's the wild part. He's 13. We're talking like Umar, like he's top 5. The way we talk about him, it's wild. But
because he
I
would
get it.
knuckle dust all of the dudes above him.
I like the Jonathan. Honestly, like, and I when I said that about Jonathan Martinez, I wasn't saying that in a bad way. He's a very good fighter, but like on paper, people don't know who he is, so like the gusto isn't quite there. Dude, Jonathan Martinez versus Umar Nurmagomedov's a fun ass fight. Like that idea a lot. Fight. And I think if you're Jonathan Martinez, because of where he's at right now, because of how people view him, like a really good fighter, but a guy who probably is going to have a very long road to get to a title fight. If I'm Jonathan Martinez, I'm jumping all over that opportunity.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's a great fight for Martinez and Umar, actually. Although it won't jump up Umar in the rankings as far as he probably wants. But for Jonathan Martinez, dude, you take that fight. Because if you lose, you're expected to lose. And I think you're in the same spot, even if you lose against Umar for Martinez.
Yeah, I think it's one of the few people who actually can, like, it's not awful for him to take it. I'm just looking at the UFC's rankings.
Rob Font.
I don't think Rob's taking that fight so quick.
It was like the timeline is weird there.
Yeah, it seems like really quick for Rob.
I'm kind of just throwing names
because Rob would make sense as in like Rob can't demand shit. He's lost 4 or 5 or whatever. So is Pedro booked?
Yeah, he's fighting Kyler Phillips, $299.
Yeah, okay. Didn't know. Yeah, Jonathan Martinez is probably the answer because I can't find one else because I strongly doubt Dominic Cruz is doing that.
No, I don't think so. Not on that quick a turnaround.
All right. Next question. Next super chat question.
Ooh, let's go.
Back to back from Zeno Gray.
Been super chatting with you.
It has been. Who holds the bantamweight and welterweight belts at the start of 2025? I think 170. I think we're all going to be on the same page with 170 for some reason. And I think the name begins with an S and ends in Afkat Rakhmonov.
Yeah, so when we did I think you can go check because we all should have given our stuff. And maybe that's changed for some people now, but it wouldn't have changed in these weight classes, right? Because nothing is developed out there. My pick was Shavkat welterweight. I still feel pretty good about that one. The only issue is timing, really. Like everyone in the world at this point is expecting Bilal versus Leon Edwards to be either 301 or 302 booking. Probably 302 if 301 is rumored is the fight card that happens in Brazil. So if they're going to Brazil, you're just putting Alex Pereira versus whoever is in line at light heavyweight if Jamal Hill can make that. And then, Pantoja feels like he would be the co-main event if you're going to Brazil for 301 pay-per-view, which then slides back to 302 for Leon, which is fine. But yeah, I feel fine. Shavkat at 170. 135, I took a bold choice and voted Cheeto. And I had a very specific reason. I don't feel great about it, but it's still probably my guess. I believe Cheeto is going to beat Sean O'Malley, and this will not be any definition of fair or reasonable, but they'll just run that fight right back.
Yeah, I went with Sean O'Malley at 135 because it's a vibes thing, and I just think vibes are on his side. And you know what? Even if Sean wins and it's like somewhat competitive, you could just run it a third time because they each have a 1 win over each other. And I don't know. I think if Sean wins, he's not defending the belt again this year. I think he's going to go try to box.
That was my thing. I think if Sean wins,
more of a scheduling thing. He'll fight once and just no one's going to even have a
he'll
chance.
He'll try to box and try to get the UFC to join him in this adventure.
Well, I got to tell you, maybe he fights Cejudo if Cejudo beats Merab. But if Merab beats Cejudo, he's just not fighting Merab. He's just not going to do that. And he's not like, I guess he could fight Corey, but I'm still not sure he's fighting Corey. So bantamweight is about to be where lightweight was in 2016 and just totally fucked.
It's gonna be interesting.
All right.
What do you
Everyone
got?
needs to hope Cheeto wins. Like legitimately, everyone who wants bantamweight to be a fun, functioning division needs Cheeto to win.
All right. Next question
But I feel
from
good.
our super chat from Michael Harris.
Michael Harris, would you be
Mike.
okay with Izzy? So a lot of people feel
Yes.
like Izzy DDP is going to headline UFC 300. Should they hold this one back and do it in South Africa instead?
No. I think you just take it. Like it's there. You already fumbled this ball once. Don't do it again. You got to strike. If they were already planning to go to South Africa this year, then sure, yep, you wait. But that's not on the books now and probably not for the foreseeable future. Also, there is certainly a part of me that's just like way cooler. Like if DDP beats Izzy at UFC 300, his next title fight should be in South Africa. You got plenty of time to set that up at the end of the year or maybe early 2025 against, a rematch with Strickland or Hamzat or whoever it is. Can just be in South Africa. And we then all get the bonus of not having the overtly racist true African champion storyline. So that'd just be a win for all of us if that's not like part of this. So if it was an option that was easy, sure. No, take Izzy, DDP, do it 300. Let's get this pig done,
And what if it's not for 300? What if we have to wait 6 months for the UFC to really set up a pay-per-view in South Africa? Should we wait 6 months?
No.
Or
Absolutely not.
okay, I think because even if they are going to South Africa, if it's pay-per-view, it's going to be a bit of time. I don't think they can just squeeze it in next couple months. So
Absolutely not. Just take it here. If DDP wins, then you can then you go to South Africa for his next title defense, and that's it. But it's not like South Africa is a market that is demanding the UFC break into it, and this is their like biggest and best shot. It's not China, right? It's not like, oh, we finally have a Chinese champion. We got to go here now, or else we're never going to catch this. South Africa is a fine market they'd like to be involved in, but they could just go to South Africa for a fight night with DDP in the main event, and it'll be fine. They don't have to do a pay-per-view there.
yeah, I was actually thinking that if DDP does lose his championship, then yeah, you can run a fight night with him there too. There's options, but yeah, I don't
Just
think
or just do the rematch in somewhere else in Africa, and it's still just as big. You know what I mean?
I mean, I would assume it's actually much larger. I am not like deeply versed, but I just have to imagine that if they're going to Africa, like Nigeria would just be like a bigger event based on population size, if nothing else.
I was going to ask about that because I don't know enough about the economy and population how it's dispersed in Africa, but when they had the Nagano, Usman, Izzy kind of champions, they weren't talking South Africa. They were talking like Morocco or Nigeria, like northern Africa, I assume.
I mean, I know that I am dead certain that Nigeria is the most populous country in Africa. I don't know by how much, but like I am absolutely positive that is true. South Africa, I have truly no idea where it ranks. I'm sure it's better than most, but probably not top 5. But yeah, like it just would have, I mean, and also that was the whole, like, if they were going to do the African champions thing, like the 3 things, it's you just go to Nigeria because that's where, it works the best. But yeah, if they're just trying to go to Africa, they can go to South Africa with DDP and a fight night card. That's fine. Or if he wins, then you can take a pay-per-view, but take this now. It's right here. Let's get this done. This fight needs to occur.
We have a tweet from Brett Okamoto of ESPN.
Ooh.
And he says, and I quote, Dustin Poirier expands on his recent fights off tweet against Benoit Saint-Denis UFC 299 to me via text. Quote, there was no contractual agreement before the fight was announced, and we couldn't come to terms.
Ooh.
That is, according to Brett Okamoto, we have not confirmed this. This is
hell yeah.
That makes
the literal broadcast partner of the UFC. Now,
hell yeah.
this seems very.
That means this fight's happening, boys.
And Dustin's going to get a whole extra bag of money.
Dustin's getting money, but instead of F it, I'm retiring nonsense like a child, he's just like, yeah, I'm not going to fight for the offer you've extended me.
So pay,
which is reasonable.
So Dustin let the UFC promote this fight, put all this, just basically publicize it, sell tickets on it, put him on the poster, do all this. And the whole time Dustin's all like, at the last, like, how far is that fight? A month? How far is that fight away?
It's a month and
a half. It's got to be a month and a half. It's
March 8th. March.
So he had So when February 1st came up on his calendar, he had a little thing. It said scheduled tweet, fights off, because
this is brilliant.
Bravo,
he's learning.
Dustin Poirier.
That's a Nate move if there ever was one.
He learned from Nate. He learned from Conor. Just how to make money. This is prize fighting. He is not an idiot.
Wow.
We'll
see how this plays out. If this fight still ends up happening. And by the way, for anyone that's like, oh, but the UFC announced this, blah, 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 blah. Look at what happened with Atlantic City. Look at what happened.
They announce things all the time.
Sean Brady was not ready to fight Vicente Luque. And I knew that. Like, there's a reason why I was like, we talked about this. I'm like, there's something they're working on to headline, but like, I don't know if it's going to happen. And that's why. I mean, Sean Brady went on Rogan and said, dude, I'm dinged up. Probably not going to be able to fight till like April or May. And then they announced it for a main event against Vicente Luque. And now we come to find out a couple weeks later that's not happening. So this happens a lot. Where fights are announced before the contracts are signed. It's more of like okay, now you got to sign. We already put it out there. So, God, if this is Dustin Poirier like playing the game right now, respect.
Respect.
I was gonna throw my hat across the room. I'm gonna put it on my head right now because I'm just going with what I'm feeling at this point. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. We'll have to obviously learn more. But I mean, this is the freaking broadcast partner that is tweeting this. So
I love it.
It's freaking wild.
Right. A+.
A+. All right.
Please be true.
Super chat from Jordan Childs.
All right, Jordan. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Just drop it. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
All right. Keep it
been
coming.
Super chatting with you, Jordan. I'm stealing the AK line.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is gimmick infringement.
Shots to AK.
All right. Another super chat question from Dom Elliott.
I believe yes, Dom.
2 pounds, not $2. 2 pounds.
Oh, all right. How are you organizing 300? How are you organizing 300 as it stands, start to finish?
DDP Izzy 1. Like that's the main event. I'm gonna operate under the assumption that's happening until someone tells me that it's not, which is what I've been saying for like over a month at this point. I'm going BMF title second. I know that some people take umbrage with that because it's a fake belt versus a real belt. And I get that. I don't care. And I like the strawweight fight.
It is 5 rounds too. The BMF is 5 rounds.
And more importantly, it's Justin Gaethje versus Mac freaking Holloway, man. Like that's just gonna be my co-main. And if you don't like it, I get your reasoning, but I do not care. I think there's an argument for maybe switching things up with the third title fight, but not how I would handle it. I'll just give the top 3 fights and go Zhang Weili, Yan Zhao Nan, and I am rounding out. If I am in control of this, that's different than what I believe will happen. I am absolutely certain Charles Oliveira, Arman Sarukian will be on there, and I would absolutely have that as. I think that would be my main card opener. Let's just start the main card off with the bang, and then what I believe will happen is I believe they will have Holly Holm, Kayla Harrison on the pay-per-view as well as the 5th fight. I would not choose to do that. I would open the event with Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison. That would be my curtain jerker because that fight has a high possibility of being lame. And I want all the rest of these fights are almost guaranteed bangers. And so let's start the evening with the lowest of the low as far as like excitement is involved. And I would round out mine with actually this would be my main card opener. It's Figgy Smalls versus
of course.
There was never a world I wasn't going to have that. That's the main card opener. I think that's probably going to be the lead-in fight because it's, former champ versus former champ, going to be a knockout, going to be the kind of fight that's like, oh, maybe I should drop $80 and watch this pay-per-view. And I don't have any issues with it, but that would be my main card opener because let's kick the main card off, like, for reals,
Yeah. Well, it's got to be the main event, whether it's DDP Izzy or they bump Conor Chandler. Boy, the people who have a problem with title fights not getting top billing are going to be real pissed if Conor and Chandler gets the main event spot. No title gets the main event over and the actual title. But I'll go DDP Izzy for now. Gaethje Holloway, the strawweight title fight. I'm with you exactly on the main card. Oliveira Sarukian's the second fight. Garbrandt Figgy is the main card opener. I do think they're going to put Kayla on ESPN because it's going to be on ABC as well. So like 2.5 million people are going to watch Kayla Harrison fight Holly Holm on ABC and ESPN. So I do think that's going to
a shame.
Where are you putting? Sorry, where are you putting the strawweight championship? Where did you
feature? Yeah. So we go strawweight title, BMF,
the 3 spot,
middleweight title fight.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
I think they're going to do Holm Harrison as like the featured prelim. You do Yuri.
It's the worst idea I've ever heard.
But they're going to do it. They're going to do it. There's no doubt.
That's going to make it precisely 0 people want to buy UFC 300.
But what if Harrison just goes in and rinses her? Then a lot of people are going to go buy UFC 300.
Maybe that just seems deeply unlikely to me. Also,
so do you put Bo Nickel in that spot?
Again, for them, I think you put Figgy Garbrandt in that spot because a fight is 2 former champions. The fight's going to bang. But also, legitimately, based on Holly Holm saying that she's not all that inclined to fight Kayla Harrison if she blows weight, I'm not putting her on promotional material like the feature prelim because I don't have any faith that Kayla Harrison's making weight. If she does, great. I was wrong, but I'm not going to set that up as a thing. Like I would tuck her on the main card, or I would tuck her as the prelim co-main or whatever, but I would not put her in the big spot.
I'm kind of with you, and Jed. I like what you're going with that, Jed. If Kayla maybe not making 35, yeah, if
Holly's not going to fight her, which is what it sounds like. And
she shouldn't, by the way.
I agree.
Sure. If I'm the UFC, I would not book this fight if Holly tells me that she is not going to fight her if she misses weight. But all right, well, we'll go down the line and find another one. Misha Tate will probably do it, and she's as big a name as you, Holly, so fine. But they are operating with a lot of assumption that she is making 135, and a lot of evidence is to the contrary that that's going to happen. So 50-50, this fight even happens,
What's the first fight? Like legitimately, I know you would put Holly and Kayla.
I mean that very seriously. I'd absolutely put that the first one. I think the first fight will be. I think we're going to get 2 more fights, as I think we're going to get the main, and I think they're going to add one more thing, and whatever they add will probably be the first. But if we're just going off what we have here,
we got 11 right now.
Oh, that's tough, man.
Dude,
you go Andrade Marina Rodriguez first, or you go Diego Lopez first?
I think they end up doing Yusuf Lopez, which I don't have any issues with, because that's those are the 2 least large commodities of all of them that they're working with, and that fight will start things off being quite fun. But I think the main card, I think the whole event gets opened by one more fight. That's fine, but just a little bit lesser, So you got to give people time to get in the door.
Yep.
See, man, I in my mind, I'm excuse me, I'm kind of thinking this as like the Ryzen, the big Japan New Year's Eve cards. It's not really about the main event. It's about the whole card in general. And I'm hoping, I know American fans don't really think that way as far as when they think of cards and stuff, but I would love if, actually I kind of love the idea of Holly and Kayla opening up the entire card. And just so you may, and you
get really people in the door immediately.
That's what I'm saying. For the first time ever in Las Vegas, you will have a sold out arena. I mean, a filled up arena at the very first fight, which you just never see in Vegas. You'll see that in other countries, but not in Vegas. No, I think if you really heavily advertise that Holly Holm, Kayla Harrison will be the first fight, on the entire card. I don't know. I kind of like that idea. And then if the fight falls off, it doesn't kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I went back and looked. One, I also think there's a real chance that they just say F it and put Jim Miller, Bobby Green as the opener. I hate that idea. I think that there's an argument to make that your prelim main event, just because like the narrative around Jim Miller at this point is so large that that's a pretty good go home fight to get you built into the pay-per-view. I don't think they'll do that, but I'd like him to have a little higher billing. But do you guys know what the opening fight for UFC 100 was?
Ooh, 100. No clue.
There's no chance. It's Shannon Gogarty versus Matt Grice. 200 was Jim Miller versus Gomi. So that's like a much bigger one. But
yeah.
I feel at the time, like that fight is bigger now, but at the time Gomi was fondly thought of by a section of the fans, but is also not in the best run of his career. Jim Miller was a bit of the always the bridesmaid, never the bride guy. It's not kind of who he's developed into now. Those are the opening fights are fights that are fun and might drag people into the door early. But for people who aren't there early or traffic's a little bad or whatever, you just need it to not be like marquee event stuff. And so I think they should add another fight that's like decent, like a good fight, but just let our ease our way into this thing,
All right.
Natty Ice goes out and does work this weekend, turn her
Perfect.
right around.
That would be perfect, right? Like something like that, like a up and coming, like a fighter who's got a little bit of shine to him, but still way out of any sort of broader narrative pictures, and get him in there in a fun little scrap to start the evening.
Yeah, cool. All right, we got a super chat from Cole Zeman.
How many times do we have to hear from Cole in one day? Love you, Cole. I'm just joking. He had 2 heck of morning call-ins today. Thoughts on the Roadhouse trailer and Conor's bike vids? I will take 1% credit for calling for the super chats. Thanks, Cole. Goats. Yes, you are one of the people, Cole.
Take 2% credit, Cole.
Ooh.
I'm generous. You can take 2% of that credit.
Wow. Thoughts on the Roadhouse trailer, Jed?
It looks bad in a way that I will enjoy a lot, which is high praise. Like I want to be real clear. Like when I say it looks bad, that does not meant pejoratively, right? Like I love trashy film. So I watch a ton of movies. I mean this with all sincerity. The best film I have seen this year thus far is The Beekeeper. It's the Jason Statham movie.
Oh, God.
It's Jason Statham in the silliest film. It's basically Crank meets John Wick, and it fucking rules. It's so dumb and it's so much fun. And like, hopefully that's what this Roadhouse remake will be. I have questions. I also, my other main comment is a lot of people notice like, wow, Conor appears to have a prominent role. I am deeply unsure that is true. I think there's a real shot that Conor's scenes are in the trailer and that's it. Like that he is not in any more of the movie outside of the expansion of what we see in the trailer, which probably makes sense. I do think Conor has a potential to be like one of the better MMA fighters turns actors. I've thought that for a while because back when he was doing like commercials for whatever, like several years ago, I remember the horse racing commercial, whatever, like it was great. He was fine in that. Like he was totally like a reasonable entity in that space. And so I think that he could be good in this. Also, from his acting in the trailer, it looked like he leaned into the worst parts of what would make him good in these roles. So we'll see. But the movie looks almost certainly like it's going to be fun. Really doubt it's going to be good, but who cares as long as it's fun.
Which is what the first one was. First one isn't. I mean,
yeah, the first one is not a good film, but it's quite a fun film.
Yeah, it's got some scenes in it. Yeah,
Terry Funk.
You could also,
yeah,
also. There's a pretty legitimate argument that Doug Liman, the director, like that's sort of his brand. Like, so I think The Bourne Identity is an exceptional piece of cinema that also then births a lot of bad stuff, but whatever. The rest of his movies are fun and I wouldn't call them good. Mr. and Mrs. Smith is pretty fun. Jumper is pretty fun. A lot of people like Edge of Tomorrow more than I do as like a good piece of filmmaking.
Edge of Tomorrow, the same guy. Oh, yeah. Okay.
A lot of people like that and think it's good. I think it's fine. but it is fun. Like he hasn't made a movie that sucks is my point. So it seems really unlikely this movie's going to suck. I just am not sure that it's like good, but who cares?
It's not supposed to be good. It's Roadhouse.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be fun.
So, I'll tell you what, it's going to be much better than this movie would have been with Ronda Rousey, which is great.
And Ronda Rousey was supposed to be Dalton, not the Conor McGregor character. People think that was a Conor McGregor character that was supposed to be Ronda. No, it's supposed to be Dalton.
Which is whoever thought of that, just I hope they got fired. Because aside from that not working in any aspect to it, like I do kind of like the idea of like, oh, we're going to gender shift Roadhouse. That's sort of a fun concept. Ronda Rousey is like the worst person I could imagine to do that with. So we've made better choices.
Was Ronda like on the cover of Best Actress magazine or something? Like she was on the cover of Ring? Like where did this concept of her being like this?
She was just super famous, man. She was
if you want to be a lead in a movie, you could be a part character, like I guess like Conor, and just kind of play an exaggerated version of yourself on screen, and it works. But if you're gonna do the whole dang movie, as the lead, you gotta be able to act. So I'm kind of. I mean, where did this come from? Was Ronda in some movie or some part that we were like, oh, I can see this for 90 more minutes?
No, she was. I'm trying to think what else.
She was an Entourage, but she was kind of playing herself.
The Expendables. No.
I mean,
yeah, right?
I think
was she not?
I genuinely.
Oh no, Fast and Furious.
She was in one of.
No, was that Gina?
Yeah, she was.
Gina.
No. Both of them are in a Fast and Furious.
Oh.
She is awful in the Fast and Furious. It's really, really bad.
Okay.
I've never seen the Expendables. She is in that. I think. I honestly think that it was like, hey, she's just super popular, and Gina Carano, kind of made it work. We're like, oh, we could probably do that with Ronda, because Gina's in Haywire. Like she's in a Soderbergh film. Like that's ridiculous when you think about that. But she's also not bad in it. Like, she's not good in it, but she's not bad in it. And so there's just like, we could maybe do the same thing with Ronda. And then they saw her act. And we're like, she cannot carry a film. No.
The first thing I thought of when I saw this trailer was like, okay, this looks
Expendables 3 had Ronda in it in a big role, apparently.
This is 1,000% a movie you have to watch with like a bunch of weird people. Like 3 or 4 like-minded individuals who are ready to have a good time. And then it's going to be a much more enjoyable experience. This is not one you're just like, you're just kind of laying around and you just throw it on.
I don't know, man. I could absolutely I could believe that this is a TNT All-Star in like 5 years, like 100%. One, Jake Gyllenhaal is an interesting actor who does interesting shit. And 2, Doug Liman has a litany of TNT All-Stars already under his belt. Like, I've seen The Bourne Identity more than most films just because if I'm laying on the couch forever, it was like, oh, what's on right now? Oh, okay, I'll watch The Bourne for a hot minute. I'll watch Jumper. I'll watch Edge of Tomorrow, Tom Cruise looping. Sure, that seems fun. Like, I think this could absolutely be both a good, like, friend experience and just a dope, like, I'm hungover and don't want to move today. Let me DoorDash some fast food and watch whatever's on.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah. Let's watch.
Not for first viewing, though. Not for first.
No. Not for first viewing, but like, there's very much a world where I'm going to see this movie like 20 times. I'm just like, we're about to get to the scene where Jake Gyllenhaal just kills this dude in the octagon outrageously.
Poor Jay Huron.
Hell yeah, I'm going to watch. Was it Jay Huron? I'm like, hell yeah, let's watch Jake Gyllenhaal dust up Jay Huron.
Jay's killing it. Good for that guy.
Good for him. Yeah, Roadhouse trailer looked good. Looked like what it was supposed to be. It looked like what it was supposed to be. So.
I do think it's bullshit that they're not giving it a theatrical release. Like, why not? Come on.
To me, that's a really bad sign, though, because that means they've seen the final product.
It's a bad sign.
They've seen the final product, and they go, "Okay, we got an awesome 3 minutes here, and we'll put that. We'll make 3 minutes of an awesome trailer." But
it's Medellin. It's Medellin from Entourage. The trailer looks great.
Oh yeah. Hey, second Entourage reference.
My mom has this long running theory that if you look at a movie trailer and it doesn't have a rating yet, that the film's going to be trash and I honestly, it's not like the worst idea I've ever heard. Like, I think there are parts of it are true. I do think that's entirely been supplanted in my head by, oh, this is going direct to streaming. It's like, okay, so that's one step above direct to video. And look, there are some direct-to-video films that I found quite enjoyable, but none of them are good. Yeah. There's a reason that that's happening.
Yeah, if it was like Roadhouse going straight to Redbox, then we'd be like, oh boy.
It is. There's a level of concern for it going straight to streaming.
Did Never Back Down get a theatrical release?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Sure did.
It absolutely
You're talking
did.
about either one
weekend box office smash.
Never Back Down is either a incredible TNT movie. I mean, that movie, whew, it's fire. That's either the best or the second best MMA movie of all time. I personally think it's the best, but it's objectively not. But that movie rocks. Also, all of the sequels I think are on Netflix, and they're bad and hilarious and super fun.
What did they get up to 4? Never Back Down again?
Sounds right. So I know 2's called The Beatdown because 1, Michael Jai White just took over the franchise, which
he just took
rocks. It's just awesome. He's like, I'm gonna step in here and take over. It's like,
I got
hell
this.
yeah, you are Michael Jai White. It's rules. 2's called The Beatdown. There's one called Revolt, and there might be another one. I can't remember off the top of my head. Because Revolt's the one with Bisping in it, like where Bisping's like one of the primary baddies or whatever.
It sounds like you're naming random UFCs like in the 60s. Like
pretty
UFC,
much.
Yes. UFC 62, Revolt. UFC 64,
they did. They just named
Beatdown.
Yeah. Instead of Never Back Down 3 or 4, it's just like, stuff. What a franchise. We need more.
Yes.
You're right. We are missing a bad MMA action franchise.
We're not missing it. It's called Never Back Down.
Yeah, you're right.
It's right there. The most recent one I pulled it up came out in 2021.
Oh my God, 2021. Oh, you're right.
That was the Bisping
2021.
one.
Oh my. Okay, wow. I thought we were done like by when did Never Back Down come out? Like over 10 years ago. Right?
2011, I think. Let me look.
Yeah, that's what I thought around that time. Okay. What a time
I want
to be
to
a
say
fan.
2011. Oh, sorry, 2008. Wow.
Oh, 2008.
I think Warrior came out in 2011, which is, for those wondering, the actual best MMA film ever made. It's actually like a good movie.
I have opinions on this, but we'll save that for another conversation.
Yes.
We have more super chats to talk about.
Let's go. Let's keep them going.
More super chat. Okay, this is a quick one. It's a yes or no question from Liam Devine.
Thanks, Cole, by the way.
Is Jet a homeless cat?
I don't think so.
All right, we got our answer.
Shouts to whoever it was who did the first homeless one. Apparently, this is going to gain traction. So, good for you. I didn't see it coming.
This is what we were hoping for at the super chats.
You're not just a regular cat; you're a homeless cat.
Would you rather be homeless, cat? Like, would you rather be a feral cat? I've seen the Aristocats, and it seems like Tomcat is out there living the time of his life, whereas all the yuppie kittens really enjoyed hanging out with him instead of their stuffy home with their mom. Just saying.
What a turn job. Nicely done.
I want to be clear. The Aristocats, that movie rocks. I think that's like a top 3 Disney animation film of all time. That movie is so good.
I've never actually seen the Aristocrats. No, Aristocats.
No,
I've never seen
it's
Aristocats. Yeah, I've seen Aristocrats. That's a different film completely.
Yes, it's very different. You should.
Yes.
Casey, I mean this very seriously, Casey. You should go watch this. Like, one, it's an old Disney movie, so it's like an hour. Like, this thing is not a 2-hour sit down. It genuinely might be shorter than 90 minutes. It bangs and it's got terrific music. I'm so confident.
You know what? I have Disney Plus. I think
it is your birthday.
It is my birthday.
I assume that it is on there. You should 1,000% do it. Thomas O'Malley.
I'm out of here.
Cat,
here we go. I gotta go watch it now.
Everybody wants to be a cat. Just pull up the I'm sure there's a YouTube for everybody wants to be a cat and watch it. And like, I'm gonna watch this movie. This movie's gonna bang because it does. Movie's so good.
It's the best episode of BTL ever.
This is just a yes or no question, but now we're talking about cats now. So did you see Cats, the musical?
I saw
the movie, the film.
I saw that once live. It's one of the worst experiences I've ever had in my life as far as entertainment.
Oh God! Watch the recent film that came out.
No, I have no intention. I've seen the musical.
Please watch it.
There's no way it can be good, and I don't hate myself to that extent to subject myself to it. It's the dumbest thing I've ever read. I don't understand how it became a Broadway musical and then like was popular. There's
Not
not
just
a plot.
popular. It's character driven, man. It's not a plot driven. It's character driven. Jeez, man.
It's the worst thing I've ever sat through. Like it was, and I enjoy musicals. Like I am a big fan of theater and musicals. It was wretched.
It's got that song in it, and that song, that the memory song. That song kind of kills every time.
So it's so bad, man. Just here are 12 different cats singing about themselves. There's no plot, and then the poor old one gets drafted up into the sky or whatever the heaven metaphor.
Spoiler. So now everyone's
Cats
watched
been out
it
for 50 years. I think it's fine.
We need a never
Our
back.
fan
we
base
need a
knows.
never
If you
back
like
down
cats,
musical.
you're gonna love Aristocats, man. 'Cause it's actually good.
Never back down the musical, Jed. Now we're on to something.
I mean, that's the best idea I've ever heard, honestly. I mean, that would be off Broadway. Like they're probably not going to put that
it'll get there.
on like one
It'll
of the
get
big
there.
ones, but I would go. I would pay a lot of money to watch that musical.
Oh. My mind's going places. I'm thinking about it.
What else we got?
All right. Thank you, Liam. Great question.
That was a terrific effort from Liam.
I guarantee you wasn't expecting that to happen.
All right. Now we have a question from Lazy Bed.
Lazy Bed. What were Feldman and Dana cooking up together? A Mike Perry return? Tony shipped to bare knuckle retirement home? BKFC on Fight Pass? So
I must have
there's
missed this.
Well, there's a photo of Feldman and Dana together, and I think Dana also took a picture with Eddie Hearn and the Matchroom guys, which isn't really a surprise because Dana and Hearn are buds, and Hearn's got an event in Vegas, but Feldman was there as well. I don't think this is the first time Dana and Dave Feldman have met. BKFC's trying to get legalized in Vegas, so maybe Dana's trying to give him a little push or something. I don't know. What do you think this means? Let's just say you saw this photo, Jed, of Dana and Dave Feldman together. Do you think it means anything, or it's just Dave Feldman saying, "Oh shit, Dana White, let's take a picture"?
That would probably make more sense to me to be that. Like, they don't need Fight Pass, right? Like, if BKFC wants to get a broader broadcast deal, I mean, they've got the juice to do that outside of Fight Pass with
100%.
something. And I have no idea what Fight Pass pays these things, but I have to assume they could get more money elsewhere. And again, it's just Fight Pass isn't even like that ubiquitous of a service, right? Like I don't think they would even entertain going on to Fight Pass realistically. And I don't think the UFC would want to pay for them to do it. I'm not sure that would just be a business partnership at this point that makes sense for either side. I mean, I guess the fun thing, there would be a world where it's like, all right, let's figure out some way to sort of, interconnect, and some of our aging veterans who have some interest in bare knuckle could come over, but I'm not even sure how that would work. So I would just assume that this is just, hey, they sort of know each other. They run in similar circles in this regard. Let's take a photo. Be cool.
That's kind of what I think it is, but you can have fun with it.
Yeah. Has Dana ever talked about, I mean, we know he loves watching people slap each other, but has he ever talked about bare knuckle publicly? Like,
I'm sure he has. There's no way
can't
he's gone
remember
through
it.
all those.
I
There's no way he hasn't gone through all those press conferences without being asked about it. About something that's happened. Like whether it's a Mike Perry fight or something.
Also,
I mean, he's might have talked about, oh, I'm happy for Mike Perry, but has he actually talked about, like, the sport of bare knuckle?
he's definitely, I remember him being like, yeah, great for Mike finding sort of his niche. Like that's a thing that's happened. I'm sure he has to have. I just can't remember him talking about it. Probably because if you think about it for more than 5 seconds, like, oh, this is what Dana should have done instead of slapping.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of bring this up.
He could have just
Yeah.
been the bare knuckle dude too. And that would obviously make way more sense and have better long-term prospects. But
Yeah. He could have partnered with BKFC and done this. He could have partnered with Masvidal to do the like MMA fighters boxing each other. Like there's a lot he could have done, like in that regard, where he could form partnerships or dip the toe in the water, so to speak, in some regard. But yeah, I just think it's two dudes talking for now. Maybe they're cooking up something, but I don't think it's anything crazy. Like, hey, we'll trade you Conor McGregor for Mike Perry for a night. I don't think we're getting that.
I mean, that'd be getting cool, though.
That'd be cool. All right, go back to our super chats.
Thanks, Lazy Bed.
Thank you.
Yes, good question. Hopefully it's something good.
Yeah. Oh, this is from just gentleman maybe spent $6 to say this.
Happy birthday from GFH times 10,000.
I guess.
I'm not cool enough to know if that means something other than happy birthday. So, happy birthday, Case.
Thanks. Times.
All right.
10. Did you say 1,000 or that's 10,000, sir?
That's 10,000.
That's 10,000.
Four zeros there.
He said 10,000.
Oh, he said, all right, 10K, baby. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yes.
All right. And another super chat from longtime commenter, Terrence Leverett.
Hey. How do you think Molly looks at straw weight? Yes, Molly McCann fighting Diana Belbita this Saturday. Rematch that the world has been clamoring for since their first battle. This time at 115. How do you think she fares at 115? How intrigued are you with this? And I will say, Jed, you guys, I listened to No Bets Barred this morning. You and Connor talked about this fight, but neither of you mentioned it was at 115 that I could recall. Because Tapology does have it listed as a flyweight fight, but it is happening at 115. Does this change
I don't think I knew
the way you look at the fight?
I definitely didn't know that because I was rocking off Tap. And no, why would it? I don't think Molly McCann is going to suffer much from cutting the weight. I think that this is a weight class that makes sense for her. And, she's had a good run at flyweight, but I think that this is where she'll probably do her best competition. And she's fighting a woman she already won against and who hasn't improved. I think this fight's gonna look almost identical to the first iteration. So be good. 115 could use sort of Molly's stardom right now. So there's sort of a lull period coming for the weight class. Just a lot of names who have been around for a long time, and Molly at least would be something new and different here. So I think she's gonna look great.
What do you think, Casey? Do you think her ceiling is higher at 115, or do you think it's kind of similar to 125 where, yeah, she can get some wins, put her on the UK cards, she gets the big pops, but when it comes to getting a top 10 step up, it's just probably not going to go great for her? Or do you think maybe this is her weight class and maybe she can make a run?
I think it's the same. I think she's where did she peak at 25? Ranking wise,
she got ranked. It couldn't have been top 10
before the Blanchfield.
It was probably 12.
Yeah, that means I kind of see that for Molly McCann in whatever weight class, strawweight and flyweight. She's top 15, and then she'll win that fight, and then she'll face someone in the top 10, lose that fight, and she'll kind of be right in that area. But the biggest thing I'm kind of surprised at is I don't know if it's I don't know if it's accurate, but the card placement. She's the seventh.
Very weird.
Very weird. These are fights. This is the placement of the
card
cards.
Though.
It's all weird anyway. Just putting her in the apex and just
it's just weird. Yeah, she's such a big arena fighter. I feel like she's become that. It's like I don't know. It's just
she find this the prelim main event, Casey. So
she's warming up the cage for Gilbert Urbina.
It's odd. It's odd.
Sure. I just find that more of the story is just on this card and the card placement, not main event, not main event, but not a featured fight. So it's just weird, and I don't know what that means. Because honestly,
I'm not saying that this would have done a whole lot. It's not like 297 was a rock solid card. You could have used a little extra juice somewhere in there. I gave it 0 stars. So you could have used some help. Molly wouldn't have gotten it over the hump, but it would have just made more sense to swap a couple of those out.
This is why she was her last fight, co-main event in front of over 15,000 fans that were cheering for her. and now she's on a mid card on a random Apex card. That's just
along with the woman who beat her on that card, Julia Stoliarenko, is the third fight on the card.
Oh,
also, shouts to Lazy Bed again. Impossible Meatballs. Bang.
Wait, how is Stoliarenko farther down the? Okay, sorry. Yeah, this whole card placement is wild. So I didn't even.
It's a very. They don't care, is what's happening.
Yeah, I think you've answered the question. Yeah,
the next two events they are not interested in. It's like, gotta get to 42 before the year's out. Let's put a couple Apex cards together, and we don't have anybody to put on them because we're stacking up the pay-per-views this section of the year. So let's go, right. Gilbert Urbina.
The day before the Super Bowl, which is also in Las Vegas. Could have done something a little cooler, but it is what it is.
All right, and we've got an hour 20 speaking about cats and Molly McCann. Yes. This is wild. So we have one more super chat question or comment rather.
Thanks, Terrence.
Thank you, Terrence. Thank you very much. Good hearing from you.
Tree Fitty, do you bros get the money from the super chat? I don't know. I know nothing about this.
Legitimately, we found out about this yesterday.
Yeah. Like, was it yesterday?
Yes, it was yesterday.
Yeah.
We found out about this yesterday. At the
Tuesday. No, it was Tuesday. It was Tuesday.
Was it Tuesday? Oh, yeah, because I was thinking it was part of our usual Wednesday meeting. But no, we did the special thing on Tuesday. Found out Tuesday, and we're like, hey, instead of doing a competition with BTL, let's just try this thing and see what happens.
Well, we do it once a month anyways, so I figure with like literally nothing happening at all this week. I mean, literally the biggest news was Kevin Lee coming out of retirement. That is until this Dustin Poirier thing dropped like 25 minutes before the show started. Yeah, this is just one of those weeks.
That's not even news. That's fake news because that fight's gonna happen. They're just gonna pay Dustin.
I love it. Get yours. Son.
I mean, it's awesome. Yours. I fully support it, but that fight is still gonna go on. So it's fine.
Probably. Okay.
Sergey's insane. I'm sorry. I've been deeply invested in the comments today. Beyond Chicken is better than Real Chicken is an outrageous hot take.
What kind of chicken is?
Beyond Chicken is better than Real Chicken. It's just outrageous.
They do like chicken. They do like chicken. I mean, I eat a lot of Beyond stuff. I like Beyond Burgers a lot actually, but I haven't done the Beyond Chicken. And Beyond Chicken does not
the burgers.
You don't?
No. Like the meatballs.
A lot of people overcook them. I'm telling you, a lot of people overcook them.
Could be the case. Like, I don't think the stuff's bad. I just think it has a place and it's different. And like, I have a very clear expectation on burgers. Somebody, and I haven't found it. Somebody that was like, Beyond Meat's perfect for stuff like spaghetti. I'm like, yes, that's correct because there's a lot of other stuff going on, and so it's like fine. Like that's why the meatballs are good. A burger is 90% burger. I need that to be cow.
Well, more cooking and baking advice with Jed Meshew coming up next week on Between the Links. But hey, we got a UFC event this Saturday, UFC Vegas 85. We will preview.
Cole, my T-Swift takes are, I don't care. People like her, and that's fine.
Yeah.
She has some songs that I enjoy, but that's it. I don't have a lot of hot takes on Taylor.
Hey, look, you can't blame her for this. The NFL is the one that's like putting her on screen every 5 seconds.
They're not even putting her on that much. It's been a total of 2 minutes.
We got more. Exactly. We got more Taylor Swift talk.
I was just saying, Taylor Swift has been on screen for a total of 2 minutes in the playoffs. She's not on that much. It's the same as you get Nicholson at a freaking Lakers game or whatever. Like, it's just fine, and I don't care. If they're happy, good for them. She makes music that other people. I don't understand why people are as in love with her as they are, but I don't need to. It's fine. I don't understand why anybody has sort of that level of adoration for another individual because I have never felt that, whoever it may be. But you know. Rock on Swifties. You like her tunes? She's got some good ones. Cool.
Yeah. Just shake it off. Shake it off.
Oh,
you know. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22, and it's time to get on out of here. Back next week, competition style.
I think Casey's
today was a fairy
22.
tale on BTL. Yeah. For Jed, for the birthday boy Casey Lyden. We'll be back next week. We'll preview show tomorrow. All sorts of fun stuff. And the iconic voice of Esther Lynn takes you home. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.
Chickens are not goats.
They're not goats, ladies and gentlemen. Love y'all.
This has been Between the Links, an MMA fighting production on the Vox Media Network.